start by saying very few people possess the ability or skill to truly tell a story. Storytelling is an art form and an integral means of learning because it has the power to forge connections among people and ideas. Stories transcend linguistic barriers, as we saw with Goshtarang, and therefore convey culture, history, and values that ultimately unite people. On that note, we welcome Ms. Janaki and Dhwani Sabesh to lead us into the world and art of narration and take our imagination to places we'd never previously imagined. A big round of applause for them.
Are we all in a zone of listening to stories? But you know which story I'm going to narrate, yeah? But because Bangalore is so beautiful and it's just the right weather, see, I come from Chennai, so you must realize that I come from a very hot planet. So I would like to start, when you speak about Bangalore, you always talk about flowers. All right? So let's start, and I want the audience to join. The elders, the child in their hearts, just allow them to be, open them up, yeah? And of course the children. Sa sing the sunflower.
Sa sing the sunflowers.
Re ring out the red roses.
Re ring out the red roses.
Breakfast nahi khaya? I mean, I don't have to tell you, but just put in a little bit more of yourself and be happy. Nobody's judging you whether you're singing in sur or not singing in sur. Yeah? Let's start that all over again. Sa sing the sunflower.
Sa sing
Nice.
the sunflowers.
Re ring out the red roses.
Re ring out the red roses.
Ga giggle the gul mohar.
Ga giggle the gulmohars.
Ma 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 the marigold.
Mama ma the marigold.
Pop pop the pretty poppies.
Pop pop the pretty poppies.
Dha dance the dahlia.
Dha dance the dahlias.
Nee not the neem flower.
Nee not the neem flowers.
Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa.
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 Ga ma pa da ni sa.
Ga ma pa da ni sa.
Pa da ni sa.
Pa da ni sa.
Da ni sa.
Da ni sa.
Ni sa.
Ni sa.
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 Thank you. Give a big round of applause to yourselves. So once upon a time, in a beautiful home somewhere in Chennai, there lived this beautiful, wonderful Paati. Paati is Nani or Dadi or Ajji or Ammamma, as you call them, a grandmother. But whose grandmother was she? She was little Malli's grandmother. Now, Malli had a special bond with her Paati. I'm sure all of the little children here and all of you adults also have a special bond with your Paati. But Malli had a very, very special bond. You see, Malli loved her Paati. I mean, she loved her parents also, but she just loved her Paati so much that she looked forward to spending time over the weekends with her Paati. Now, weekends with Paati meant, head massages. It was almost like Malli's Paati would say, okay, come here, sit. And she would take this nice bottle of oil and massage her hair gently. And Malli would say, Paati, that hurts. And she'll say, yeah, it will hurt because there's so much of muck on your head. And she would, in fact, Malli's mother would receive a phone call and say that, you know how much of bucket of muck I've removed from your daughter's hair today? I mean, that kind of bond. But Malli loved Paati's massages. And then after the massages, Paati used to love, okay, I'm having a problem with this mic. और कोई mic नहीं है? ये, okay, I hope this doesn't. But after the massages, Paati used to sit with Malli and give her some Sudoku puzzles. She would sit with her and talk to her about all that happened through the week in her school, talk to her about homework, talk to her about a lot of things. But Malli was not, she was happy with all these things, but Malli waited for one particular moment. Weekends meant that Paati would make her rasam. Now, for all those uninitiated, rasam is this broth, if you want to call it, a soup, if you want to call it, that you mix with rice in South India, especially in Tamil Nadu, and you have. Now, that rasam was so good that Malli, she would handle everything, but she would wait for that particular rasam. And as Paati would go into the kitchen and add those spices, take out this really beautiful vessel called iya chumbu, something made out of lead, which would, almost the tomatoes, the spices would interact with the tin in that and make it even more tangier. The taste would just get enhanced. And as the rasam whiffed into Malli's, wherever Malli was sitting, she'd say, Paati, and she would go and hug her Paati and she'd say, Paati, you're the bestest rasam maker in the whole wide world. And Paati will say, yes, I know. She said, Paati, you're so good. Will you also teach me how to make rasam, please, Paati? And Paati will say, one day, Malli, I will. But Paati, please, I really want to know how to make this rasam. I want to make it myself perhaps one day. She said, Malli, you're too young, but I will share the recipe. And then the rasam would be over, and Paati would have just tempered it with mustard, cumin seeds, with nice and generous dash of ghee, and the rasam would come out of the kitchen onto the dining table. Malli would be sitting there, her hair slightly wet because she's just had a hair bath, hungry. I don't know if all of you, but after a prolonged hair bath, you actually feel very hungry. So Malli was no different. She would say, Paati, 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 Paati. Can you do that? Paati, 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 Rasam Paati, Rasam Paati, Rasam Paati, Rasam Paati. And she'll say, okay, Malli, I'm bringing the rasam. And first she would take a plate and heap that entire rice into a mountain. Can you do that? Can you do that? I don't know when was the last time you had so much rice, but yeah. And then Malli would make a nice big hole, like how you have the top of the volcano. Can you all make a hole, children? Yes. And children at heart, yeah. And as Paati came in with her rasam in the iya chumbu, she would ladle a generous ladle of rasam. But before that, what else do you think goes on to the rice? We just melt. That also generous because it was Malli. So nice, generous dollop of ghee and then the rasam, and it would just flow all over the rice and it would fall. And Malli was so, she just wanted the rasam to be into her mouth, into her heart, into her soul, into her tope. She just couldn't wait. It was hot. It was right from the stove onto the dining table and onto her plate. And Paati will say, Arey, dheere se bhai, where is the rasam going? She says, no, I can't wait. And then nothing else mattered to Malli. Just that rasam was on the plate and that she could, even the accompaniments were very secondary. It could be a potato roast or it could be some puriyal or whatever, or papadam. But the rasam was most important. And as she ate, Paati just saw her. Nothing else mattered. Everybody else was in soft focus. They were zoomed out of her life. Only the rasam and the plate of rice. And as she ate, she again said, Paati, you promise, na? You'll teach me how to make rasam? She'll say, yes, Malli. So every weekend, imagine that you go to your grandparents' house and you do this. Arey, who will not fall in love with Malli's Paati? But then If only all stories have a happy ending. In this case, at this point of time, Malli, her life changed because her Paati had to move on to another world. It completely changed everything. Malli couldn't fathom. I mean, she was a young girl, but 7 years old. And she said, why would Paati go away? How? She couldn't even relate. She didn't know how to even explain her grief. And then came the first weekend. And she didn't have a home to go to. But more worse than that, she didn't have Paati's rasam. And Paati, maybe she didn't know. I mean, her whole life was like a rainbow without colors. It had just vanished. And on Monday, she came back and she threw her school bag on the sofa and she said, Ma, I don't want to go to school. And Ma was shocked. Malli was somebody who loved going to school. She said, why not? What's the problem? She said, no, Ma, we have to take something that we love and talk about it. And I don't want to go to school because I love my Paati and I can't take her to school. See, Amma was also going through her grief, but she had to keep her, she had to make sure that Malli didn't grieve further. She said, now let me see. Why don't you take all the things that Malli enjoyed with her Paati? You enjoyed playing Sudoku. You enjoyed playing games, puzzles. You enjoyed doing so many things. Why don't you take those? Why don't you take those as a reminder and talk about the Sudoku puzzles? You talk about whatever, all those love. Maybe you could even take the bottle of oil that Paati used to do all your hair massages, and maybe you could talk about those head massages and the banter, the conversations that you had with Paati. But Malli, she wasn't convinced. I mean, she said no. And as she was hugging her mother, her eyes fell on the kitchen counter. And on the kitchen counter was that beautiful iyachumbu, that vessel in which Paati made her rasam. And she said, Ma, I know. Can I take Paati's rasam? Amma said, why not? But then Malli didn't know if Amma knew how to make Paati's rasam. Amma made those calls. She called her brother, she called her sister, she called Chitti, she called so many people. Everybody gave bits and pieces of information, you see, because Paati had never shared that recipe. It was always, taken for granted that Paati will always be there. Why do we need a recipe from Paati? And then Amma said, no sweat, let's prepare the rasam. So she gathered all the spices, she took the tomatoes, she diced them, she put everything together. But even as the whiff of the rasam came from the kitchen, Malli didn't even have to taste it. She felt sad again. She felt so sad that she started sobbing, and that's when her appa came, and her appa said, listen, maybe you could take this vessel, you could take the iyachumbu, and put the bottle of oil, the Sudoku puzzle book, everything, and talk about it. Talk about all your experiences with your Paati. Amma said, you know what, let's go to Paati's home. Let's just go and spend some time. Maybe both will feel better. So they went to Paati's apartment, opened the cupboard. And as Malli started looking at all the saris and things that, Paati normally loved, her comb, her bindi, she used to call nail polish Q-Tex. She said, Q-Tex, oh my God, look at this. And suddenly, Malli touched the yellow sari. It was a cottonish sari, very, very soft, because Paati used to wear it mostly like a nightie. That was her night dress. She took it out and she hugged that yellow sari like this. It almost felt that Paati was back and she was hugging Malli in a warm, warm hug. And as she hugged, tears couldn't stop falling from Malli's eyes. As Malli started crying, she hugged the sari even further, and suddenly something dropped. It was Paati's medical report. She took it and she flipped it and she cried, "Amma! Amma!" Amma said, "What, Malli? What happened?" In it, just on the back, in Paati's neat handwriting, was the recipe for not only the rasa powder, but also how to make the rasam. She said, "Ma, Paati's actually shared the recipe of my favorite rasam." And you know what? Paati used to call it good rasam. What did she call it? Good rasam. So they go back home and Amma puts the iyachumbu on the gas, she cuts the tomatoes, she takes the juice of a tamarind ball, and as she grinds the rasa powder and as she puts it all together, Malli can smell what? Rasam. But whose rasam? But is it Paati's rasam? Whose rasam is it now? Yes, it is Malli's rasam. So Paati had kept her promise. Paati had kept her promise because Malli always said, "Paati, you're the best rasam maker in this whole world, and I want to make the rasam just like the way you do." So what Paati had done was, in her neat handwriting, she had written down the recipe to make the rasa powder, because that is what makes the rasam unique, and of course the method. How much ever there are many grandparents here, you'll know that, most of the time grandparents just do this. They don't measure, they don't say so many ounces and teaspoons, and it's just something that comes very automatically to them. And that day, when Malli sat down, when again there was a mountain of rice. Can I see the mountain of rice? Mountain of rice, and make a little hole on top, and the rasam was poured by Amma, and with a lot of ghee, yes, with a lot of ghee, and Malli had one, the first, as she just kept it in her mouth, she knew that it was whose rasam? Paati's rasam. So Paati had kept her promise. And that is the story of Paati's rasam. I invite Dhwani, Sabesh, my co-author. This is my daughter.
Hi. Hi.
Yes, and for all those who haven't seen the book, this is Paati, this is Malli, and the iyachumbu. So we've got the iyachumbu also to show you. So many of you might not know what an iyachumbu is. So this, can you describe a little more about?
So this vessel in which you usually make only rasam is made with a mix, an alloy of metals. There's some tin, there's some aluminium, there's some lead. And whenever you add anything sour, so that like tomatoes, tamarind, lemon in this, there's a little bit of chemistry magic that happens, because of which your food tastes much, much better. So you get a very special taste from an iyachumbu, from making rasam in an iyachumbu. And the best iyachumbu's, like Paati's, don't look like this.
Yeah.
This is a new one. I've only made rasam in this 4 times. But you can ask all the Paati's here who use iyachumbu. It'll have multiple dents because it's very soft. When it's hot, it's very soft. So if you hold it, if you touch it, you'll see holes and dents, and it looks like a very well used. So the best ones, the ones that give the best taste, are the ones that have lots of dents and scars and pokes all over it.
So now, because we spoke about, can you just, we need to have a rasam song also. Are you all ready to sing a rasam song? Yes. Take the juice of a tamarind ball.
Tamarind ball.
Take the juice of a tamarind ball.
Taste the juice of a tamarind ball.
Cut tomatoes, dice them small.
Cut tomatoes, dice them small.
Add a spoon of rasam pudi.
Add a spoon of rasam pudi.
A pinch of hing is necessary.
A pinch of hing is necessary.
Add a spoon of rasam pudi.
Add a spoon of rasam pudi.
A pinch of hing is necessary.
A pinch of hing is necessary.
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 Some salt and pepper indigo.
Some salt and
Pepper indigo.
Some salt and pepper indigo.
Some salt and pepper indigo.
Mix it up, simmer low.
Mix it up, simmer low.
Add, what is it?
Temper this in a dash of ghee.
Temper this in a dash of ghee.
With mustard, cumin and coriander leaves.
With mustard, cumin, coriander leaves. With mustard, cumin, coriander leaves.
With mustard, cumin, coriander leaves.
Piping hot rasam ready to eat.
Piping hot rasam ready to eat.
Party's hot rasam ready to eat.
Party's hot rasam ready to eat.
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 Thank you so much. Just the book. We'd like to show you some illustrations because a picture book, a story like this can come to life only when there is a teamwork. We have somebody from the publishers, Karadi Tales, Daya is here from Karadi Tales. Is Shobha here? No, okay. And we have two authors, Janaki Sabesh and Dhwani Sabesh, and we have two illustrators. We have Vaijayanti who did the storyboard and Pallavi Jain who just breathed colors to the illustrations. So this is the Iyachumba, this is Paati and Malli. And that's of course, she's squealing with delight. Paati, you're the best rasam maker in the whole world. Yeah, maybe we can't show the entire thing. We'll show this, yeah. Some images that stay with us.
Wait, before that, this is the kitchen.
Yeah, this is the kitchen. Top shot of the kitchen, and every Indian household will, resonate with this because it's got everything. It's got everything, including a little towel, which you always use for everything. I think you wipe everything, every single corner with that towel. And then this is a spread that we so love, is about her caressing that yellow sari, and from which you see that medical report falling down, and that's that in her neat handwriting. Paati is not only given the recipe of the rasa powder, but also how to make the rasam. And then the last image. So now Paati's rasam is now Malli's rasam, and also Dhwani has written an entire for the adults who want to know more about what is rasam. We have a whole, including what is an Iyachumba, entire a little story about what it is all about, and she has, yeah, and a recipe for Malli's rasam.
Which you can all make at home.
But you'll need to buy the book. All right. So one last time, I'm just going to sing. You don't repeat. Just we both will sing the Paati's rasam song again. Take the juice of a tamarind ball. Cut tomatoes, dice them small. Add a spoon of rasam podi. A pinch of hing is necessary, necessary, necessary.
Some salt and pepper, in they go. Mix it all and simmer low.
Some salt and pepper, in they go. Mix it up and simmer low. Temper it with a dash of ghee, mustard, cumin and coriander leaves. Party's rasam ready to eat. Piping hot rasam ready to eat. Party's hot rasam ready to eat. Ready to eat. Ready to eat. Thank you so much. Thank you.